last thing, it's Black History Month. And today, on this day, Sidney Poitier was born in February the 20th, 1927. Distinguished actor. He was the first Black man and the second Black person to win an Oscar. And I believe that Oscar was for Lily in the Fields. My favorite movie with Sidney was In the Heat of the Night, right? When he slapped that white man, like, come on, that's classic. Because that's never been seen before. Representation matters. A lot of people are upset about the ebony cover of Jonathan Major on the cover. I don't think it looks too fruity. Why is Nikki got thumbs down, honey? I don't think it looks too fruity, but they are, when we look at the emasculation of particularly Black men in media now, and how they are participating, allowing themselves to be emasculated, representation matters. And Sidney Poitier, I believe, is a positive, shining example of, a strong, masculine alpha man who was an excellent, phenomenal actor and contributes so much on and off the screen. What say you, Judge?
I met him.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the 90th anniversary of Paramount Studios, and there was a big fete, and we had a gathering. I talked to him for a couple hours. I'll say this: that's one big dude. Oh man, that dude is
Oh,
big.
he
I
was a
was
sex symbol
surprised.
too.
Oh, he looked like he played defensive lineman for the NFL as a defensive end. I mean, he's like 6'6" or 6'7" and buffed out, even at his age at the time. Real nice, personable guy. Some of the other stars that were gathered there kind of stuffy, and some of them outright crazy, and some of them you drink beer with. Al Pacino was one of those types. He's somebody you could drink beer with. Sidney Poitier was. Brandon Fraser, who played in The Mummy, he was a real live guy. And what's the guy played in The Mask, a comedian? What is his
Jim Carrey?
name? Jim Carrey. He was hanging upside down from a scaffolding 70 feet off the ground, trying to get this sister to talk who had a part to play in L Word on a regular basis, and she wouldn't talk to any of the men. She wouldn't talk to Sidney Poitier. She would not talk to, and Mickey Rooney was there, and he ain't that short, really. And then there
Mm-hmm.
was, she didn't talk to Brandon Fraser, and the comedian couldn't get her to talk to him. She wouldn't talk to any man up there. It was interesting. So we all said, I guess she's a real L word, real antisocial type. Beautiful, but I mean, she wouldn't. I was standing next to her for 3 hours. I couldn't get a
Who are
word
you
out of
talking
her. I
about? Who
said,
are you talking about? Are you talking about some woman? I don't get it. We're talking about Sidney.
Jennifer Beals. Jennifer Beals. Sidney couldn't even get a conversation going with her. She refused to speak with him.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's like in Jim Carrey was hanging literally by his knees, upside down, backwards from a scaffolding 70 feet off the concrete, where we were all up there to get these studio pictures trying to get her to talk to him. She wouldn't talk to him either.
Why
So, I
would you
mean,
talk to
it's
someone
funny.
hanging upside down? But Jim Carrey's
Well, he was
he's too
trying,
goofy. He's too
but
goofy at times.
he's witty. I was surprised, and he's an up tempo
I'm
guy.
sorry, wait a
There
minute,
were
hold on, because Nikki is messaging like, what does this have to do with anything, honey? Today is Sydney's birthday, and I said that yes, this is
It's
still
Black
Black
History.
History, right? And yes, he is part of American Black History. Yes, he is from,
Well,
I think he's
let
from the
me
Caribbean. I
get to
forgot
the.
what Caribbean island. But wait, 1 second, Judge.
Yeah,
Wait,
well, that's
because
in the Americas.
the thing is, he is someone who contributed to Black America. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He didn't just come here yesterday. So yes, he is part of Black American history,
Well, let
as
me tell you
opposed
this other
to
part.
others.
Let me tell you this other part, though, that is worthy of inclusion in Black history about him. I was just, since you say people like to deal with the celebrity nonsense, I was throwing out a few tidbits. But one thing that struck me is the respect he had from everybody in there. Now, some of these famous Paramount directors, producers, etc., they get kind of arrogant and they look down on talent as kind of trained animals. But he set one or two of them out while I was watching him, and he didn't back down. He did what I did, like, hey, go F yourself. You know, what the devil's the matter with you? So he demanded and received respect from everybody, and he got it.
So
And he
I
was
so
an imposing brother.
so I and so it is his birthday. It is Black History Month, and he was a phenomenal actor, right? When we're talking about Hollywood, when we're talking about entertainment, and you talk about the image of the Black man, right? Today, yesterday, and anybody else want to request to come up, do so, because honey, we're winding it down. And Q, you can unmute. It's that Jazz, honey. Please pick up Jazz. Please pick that dog up. I don't know what's going
I
on with her
have
today. I don't know. Like she's whiny. Hold that baby. Anyway, um, his contribution and his representation, which is why I am highlighting him. Representation matters. You got ASAP Rocky switching with his, holding his baby, standing behind Rihanna on a cover of Vogue, honey. Vogue is the top magazine worldwide, and you look emasculated. And if you guys know, Senegal is the famous statue of the Black family. You have the man leading, holding the baby, and holding the woman behind him. Now it's in reverse. And I'm sorry, I love my Jonathan Majors. Sexy as hell, fine as hell, and a damn good actor.
he
But I
looks
don't know
like he's
what's going.
switching. He's
Who?
simping
ASAP
along with,
Rocky?
well,
Yeah, but
whoever
now
that is behind
I'm on a
Rihanna.
now I'm on a right now I'm
He's
on a
kind of got that
Jonathan
little
Majors.
swish in
Stop.
there. Who is
I
he?
know. Stop.
He
Wait.
got a.
Stop.
He's walking with a
I'm
swish.
talking
I
about
mean,
Jonathan Majors now. Stop. You're
well,
interrupting me.
you talking about the
So
one
my
that Rihanna is
no, I'm
leading?
not. No, I'm past that. You're late.
Oh,
Let me
oh,
finish saying
okay.
what I gotta
I
say.
don't know who these celebrities are.
I know. Yes, you do. So if you just
No, I
listen and
don't.
let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Jonathan Majors on a cover of Ebony. I don't know what Ebony magazine was thinking. I don't know what Ebony magazine was thinking when they said, okay, we're going to put a pink jacket over you, but we want you to sit on top of this couch with your legs crossed. I don't know if that was Jonathan Major's idea, but the fact is that he took another picture and his legs were like open and not crossed, but they chose to put the legs that were open on the cover. And a lot of times the celebrities don't have a say so what goes on a cover. It was the Valentine's Day cover, but representation matters. Having your legs crossed, you already got the pink shit on, even though he had his shirt off, honey. But it did look a little fruity with the legs crossed. But that's still my man. Jonathan is still my man. ASAP Rocky, that was pathetic. So again, overall, with representation of Black people in entertainment, because all of America, we are hypnotized with pop culture. But when it comes to Black people being and how they represent themselves in Black culture, is is a hot mess. Why are you allowing yourself to be emasculated? Why are
May
you
I
allowing yourself to
offer?
be slutted
May
out?
I offer an observation from having been out there? They're showing you who they really are.
Maybe. I want to go to Q, then Pink, and I'm gonna bring up Judge Sarah. Q, you had your hand up?
Yes. Hi. I'm actually on my son's um
Oh,
phone. So
I was about to say this don't
I'm
sound like
yeah.
Q.
Yeah. I hope I don't make him look too bad. That's what he always worries about. And if I do, oh well, I'm his mother, so what? Um
Mm-hmm.
but one of the things that has bothered me forever. Sometimes when we raise our children, it's just like when I raised my children. I didn't allow them putting no celebrities pictures on the wall in my house. And when their father worked so hard every day to provide for us, and I didn't see the need for them to, and how hard I worked to care for them and provide for them. If anybody's picture was going on the wall, it was going to be my picture or my husband's picture. Now I'm in my 70s, but in the house, other than my husband and my great grandfather and great grandmother, who raised my mother because her mother was dead, I don't see the need to be putting those celebrities' pictures up in my house. The person, unless they've done something tremendous that I think is worthy of being in my house. And the only man other than my husband's picture, and as I said, my great grandfather, is Malcolm X. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He has proved himself to be worthy. And since one of my kids died, I'm raising my granddaughter who's 16. I'm in my 70s, so you can just imagine. She got to be a good girl because I have no other way. But and one of the things I think that we don't look into, it's just like I talked to this Jewish rabbi because the reason I talked to him is because I know I don't have a voice in the Jewish community, and I want to make him more aware of why. Like they say, Kanye was a fool and he acted a fool. Okay, well, maybe some things he says are foolish, but he was on point with some things too. And we got to learn not to listen always to what the outside world says, because I looked it up when I wanted to know why Kanye he said some things that he said. So I looked it up and come to find out that maybe about 95% of the record industry, as sitting at the top, the CEOs of Universal and Sony and all of that, who are making the money, they are Jewish men, and maybe one or two white men, billionaires. And the way the process worked, I looked it up, is like the rappers take the music to these executives or their assistants or whatever, and they're the ones who fund it. If you think about it, no other woman in the world, you can be Jewish woman, uh, um, Indian woman, Asian woman, no woman in the world other than the black woman is, they lift us up, call us in these records bitches and whores and all kind of names, and saying vile things about us, but no other culture is that even acceptable. But behind the scenes, who's making the money? 80, I looked it up, it was 80% them and 20% of the artists who they have to pay certain amounts out to. So Prince and Michael Jackson were on the right track. And Kanye, I may not agree with all he said, but he was on the right track too. And Judge Joe Brown, I want you to know, I can't remember what I looked at on TV, but it has something to do with voting. Right now, I don't know who to vote for because I ain't got nothing to vote for. I don't care if it's Biden or Trump or whoever. Judge Joe Brown, shed some light because I really don't know. Ain't nothing out there as far as I'm concerned. And my life didn't change when Obama became president. My life didn't change. The only time my life changed was for the better a little bit was when LBJ was president, and he was forced to make many of the decisions that he made. So what do I do now, Judge Joe Brown? Hello?
Judge, unmute. Where'd he go? Oh my God. I think somebody probably called him.
No. I'm here. Ma'am, I agree with you. I'm older than you are. And the only really effective president that I've experienced in my adult life has been LBJ. And also historically, he is the only man in the history of the United States who ever effectively controlled the Senate when he was Senate Majority Leader. a very strong individual. Now, he was a very fascinating character. In fact, I met his mistress, Marie Brown, no relation. We had long conversations on several occasions, and I met two of his sons. Her son with him, born in 1965, who looked just like him, and another son born in 1966 when he was president, to a White House secretary who looked just exactly like him with a slight tinge of coffee. So he was a very impressive man, and we haven't had much like him since. He made some mistakes. I don't think they were so intentional as they were from just it wasn't his thing. But since we do not have leadership, see, if you want to see what leadership is about in politics, go to your local zoo, take your lunch, go several days in a row, and watch the chimps and baboons. You will see politics just like ours. You will see currying favor. You will see manipulation. You will see all kinds of other things. You'll even see hot combat to see who's going to be the alpha. But there's an interesting thing about it. The person or the individual that becomes the alpha is the member of the pack or the troop that's closest to the leopard in other danger. The danger has to get through the leader, and the leader leads the pack around and about and through dangerous things. We don't have anybody these days that I would follow to a men's room if I had diarrhea and desperately needed to go. And they knew how to get me there. It's that bad. They are functionaries. They don't have the charisma. They don't have the presence. They do not have the ideas. They do not have the moral integrity. And they certainly don't have the persona. They are chick flick matinee stars for the most part at their best. We no longer get into critical analysis of what somebody does. It's all about the plastic exterior appearances that we focus on now. I just jumped Dana earlier about it. Buttigieg, instead of going to East Palestine, Ohio, and I asked, why should he go? Is that going to do anything about the problem other than hold somebody's hand? But we expect the hands to be held, and that's not what people are there for. I used to have that when I was a defense lawyer. I said, look, man, you're paying me to represent you in court, not hold your hand. You go get your mama to do that because I think you're an effed up fool, but I will represent you to the best of my ability to keep the system honest so it has to deliver due process so it does not get corrupt by not having to do so and wreck the rest of us. But I don't like you. But it's my job, my duty. And we need people like that who want to spread principles. It is somebody's duty and honor and obligation to make what they are about, where they are about it, and who they lead, follow them into a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics, to demand and ensure and inspire public peace, dignity, and order, but to also aspire to lead and inspire personal courage and bravery when necessary. That's what a leader's supposed to do, but we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And we need it.
Judge Sarah, did you want to comment on Sidney or the Jonathan Majors cover?
Oh, I was hoping I could comment. I don't know Jonathan Major, but I wanted to speak about the Rihanna thing.
Okay, 1 second. Miss Q. Oh, okay. I didn't know Miss Q wanted to follow up, but just stay right there. I'm now saying Miss Q. Just stay right there, Miss Q. Go ahead, Judge Sarah, and then I'll go back to
You
Miss
know,
Q.
okay, because I just came in and I don't know if you guys were speaking about the Rihanna thing. And I kind of wanted to speak to that because honestly, it was extremely disappointing to me to see that. They when they want to get attention from us, they do little things like that, and they know they're going to get a rise, and they sell magazines. That Vogue cover, and I'm gonna say because I want to say this properly because it's upsetting to me multiple reasons why. My concern is my people's ability to understand artistic expression. Um, I have an issue when I saw black men coming for ASAP Rocky. It was really very disappointing because I think it speaks more to the man who's commenting than ASAP Rocky. Vogue is a women fashion magazine. That cover is about Rihanna and her growth. We've seen Rihanna since she was 14 years old grow. We see her be abused by Chris Brown. We see her grow and evolve. She is she has a man, a long-term relationship. She has a baby. This has nothing to do with ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky is not a softie. Those who know him knows that. It's hurtful to me that we are always attacking each other. The same thing happened with the Simone Biles cover. Oh, she's great, the lighting. That photographer was a world-renowned photographer, Annie Leibovitz. She was gray because she was blue inside, meaning she didn't feel well. So what I'm saying to you is this Vogue magazine cover, again, it is a woman's fashion magazine. The cover was about Rihanna. Seeing her man and her baby in the background speaks to her growth and how she's evolved as a woman for me. The Jonathan guy, I don't know who that is. I thought he was a gay guy. Is he not gay, Dana? I thought he was gay.
I don't think he's got no. He has a daughter. He's not married, but he's fine as hell, and he's a great actor. But I did post it in a jumbotron, the Ebony cover, and I sent it to you also, Judge. And I just know
I
he's a good
saw it.
actor. But as far as as far as the Rihanna cover, it is a woman's magazine. But there have been times men been on a cover. However, if it's a woman's magazine, why are you having Rihanna? Don't have the baby daddy on it. Just have her and her
I just
baby, or
said it
just
was
have
about her
her.
evolving. It's about her
But
evolving.
the fact is
That's
Well,
that,
may
and
I make an
that's
ladies?
please
let
do.
May I,
me wait.
may I
Let
make an
me say
observation?
let me say what
Go
I
ahead.
want to say, and then you can
Yes,
go,
ma'am.
Judge. But the fact is
Go
that my son and black men in general should not be depicted looking feminine on anything, and he looks feminine. If he was going to be somewhat in the rear, still look masculine, not like some fairy dork or whatever and whatever.
That,
May
but
I
you know
make an
what
observation?
I want to say that's your perception, Dana. And it's more, I'm a fashion girl. That was a more fashion thing. I'm sorry you see him as a feminist, men feminine. If people know that generation know ASAP Rocky, ASAP Rocky is not a softie. And Rihanna wouldn't
I
be
don't
with a
know him. We
softie.
don't know him. We don't know him in real life.
No,
I
he's
don't
not.
know.
He's a fashion guy. So what you see him in, and that's it's a fashion magazine. So he's dressed fashionably. Some might
I'm not
consider
talking
that
about the way he's
feminine.
Why?
dressed. I'm
Excuse
talking about
me.
his
Excuse
body
me.
position.
He's
Yeah,
holding his
body
baby.
language.
Give
No,
me his
he's
baby.
simping. He's walking
Okay,
like a woman, like a
I
fashion
disagree.
model. I would say this, unless you're talking about the
He's
famous Englishman Beau Brummel who set the model of fashion. Yeah, yeah.
He is a
Well, he
model,
looks like
Judge.
it,
He is a
and
model.
that's not
He's modeled for
exactly well.
Chanel and several
I
other
know, I
couture
know,
designers.
I know, I know. And I met a lot of these models out in Hollywood. So, yeah, Dana's not far off the mark. But let me put it this way. Let's take a men's magazine. Let's take, oh, pick one. Doesn't make any difference. Old time men's
Sports
magazine.
Illustrated. That's
Sports
or whatever.
Illustrated. Okay, you have all these fit men in there, but when they had a woman in there, they didn't have one wearing bib overalls, plaid shirts, work boots, and a shaved head. They had an equally athletic looking, fine, lean, beautiful woman with a pretty face in a bikini if it was going to be on the cover, or tastefully dressed if it was an interior shot. And they didn't have her in a harlot's pose either. Now,
You
um,
don't know ASAP Rocky's
now
son.
that said, now I don't know him, but let me put it this way: the bravest man I ever met, baddest ass, was a professor, retired professor emeritus from New York University, Professor Roscoe Brown, late Captain Brown of the Tuskegee Airmen, who's now being revealed by the U.S. Defense Department's records after analyzing the German Wehrmacht records that they got after East Germany brought the wall down, to have been the second highest scoring actual fighter pilot in Europe for the U.S. in World War II. Shot down 2 Me-262 jets that are confirmed. And now his score is up to 23 other planes, which totals out at 32 people he killed at 30-some thousand feet with 50 caliber machine guns. He was about 5'6", and in his late 80s, he was still running the New York Marathon. He was slight, had a quick wit, always had a grin on his face, and was very charming and personable. So he's a stone cold killer who even impressed some street thugs out of Harlem who met him over at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where I invited him to go on the occasion of my speaking there about 16, 17 years ago. And he's manly, he's a warrior, he's a scholar, stone cold killer, but he's a gentleman, and he didn't look the part. I've learned that some of the staunchest stand-up men you ever see don't necessarily look the part. They just behave as per the part. And some of the most buffed out, overtly masculine looking people are the least masculine when it comes to behavior or what they're really about. And it used to freak me out when I was in Hollywood. I'd see some that were these action hero stars, and I used to like to go see their movies. I couldn't for a long time because I hear them simpering in person and flapping their hands and acting like buttagig or whatever it is.
I want to go to Q.
Oh, really? Is that what you're about?
Wait, one second, Judge Sarah.
I'm not
Judge
saying
Sarah,
he
stop,
is, but
because I don't know your
yeah.
audio. Something's going on with your audio, Judge Sarah. 1 second. I want to go back to Miss Q because she had a hand up. Miss Q, and then I'm gonna go to OG.
I just wanted to make this quick comment. Well, I hope it's quick anyway. My son say I'm too mouthy, but anyway, they send subliminal messages with their photography. One of the things is they don't want it to be, they want to leave it up to interpretation, so that we start, some people say it shouldn't be done this way, some people say it should be done this way, when within reality, what difference does it really make in your life or my life or her life who's speaking to it, or any of our lives? I'm more interested in the things that are going to impact our lives. But I do understand these subliminal messages. One of the things that I think, anyway, they're trying to do, see, they're afraid that the white supremacy will die because of the by year whatever, it's supposed to be a more colored world of people of color, because white plus white can only make white, but white plus black can, we come out black. So we're increasing in numbers. They don't want that to happen. So one of the ways that they are helping to make that not happen is by encouraging men to be with men and women to be with women. So there's no creation of little black and brown babies. That's what they're doing. And in this picture, when you see him in the background or whatever, don't worry about that. Don't worry about him. Don't let them take and keep us, our minds focused on celebrities, what they do in their life or don't do, but be more focused on understanding their little subliminal messages that they want to send that may not be as masculine as what we would prefer to see our men be, because they have our men already. See, it's a conspiracy to destroy all of us, black men and black women. Even with these, they depict us as uh, uh, liars and thieves, when we know the biggest thieves in the world ain't us. We might go downtown and pick up a little dress that we shouldn't have picked up, or something like that. I saw a recent YouTube, um, um, whatever you call it, podcast, article, or whatever it's called. I don't know. Where the Walmart's has they were talking about they're going to be catching people who go through the self checkout line who aren't scanning all of the food items. And so as far as they're concerned, they're letting you know, we're going to be prosecuting you thieves going through. But see, they ain't told the truth about them. I done looked it up. Walmart's, uh, Sears, not Sears, Kmart's, Target, and Target, even what's that coffee that everybody thinks is so popular? Starbucks, and a lot more of them. They subcontract with this. They subcontract with a third, another party who gets the contracts from the prisons, and they pay the prisoners 40 cents to $1.40, I think it is, and they're using their labor. They're even making helmets. They're making all kinds of things. And even I used to think Walmart's was good, giving people a second chance. But even when they do that, I looked it up. They're not paying them the same amount of money, and so they're and these billionaires that's controlling these companies, they're doing all these kinds of things. They're reducing us to try to make men go with men, women to women, and all of that kind of stuff. See, they do things little by little. So let me shut my mouth, because my son then already told me I talk too much. But
Yeah,
I
well,
thank you.
but I appreciate what you're saying and bringing your input. And that Rihanna cover was part of the little by little subliminal message
Oh
that, yeah. So,
yeah.
but thank you. I appreciate you coming on, Miss Q. Judge Sarah, yeah,
You know what? Okay, I want to say this, and actually, I am Rira actually messaged me to say something. But what I want to say is about the photo. That is a black man. First of all, I was a wife my whole life, and I was a family woman my whole life. Okay, and I'm talking about what women want. I want to know how many. I'm wondering how many women want a man like that, who's sitting there holding his baby and loving his baby. Okay, not only that, that's a black man kissing his black son. How many black men are suffering today because they black daddies didn't hug and love them that way? See, I see it beyond what you see. I'm very comfortable with who I am as a black person in this country, and I'm not easily offended because I like me. Riri said, Judge, can you tell them it's a nuclear family? It's better that they show up than apart. You can't have it both ways. How can the nuclear family ever look toxic? She says, I can't talk, I'm at work. Okay. So I'm so sorry. When people perceive it the way they do, I think they're projecting. That man is holding his baby. That it's a Vogue cover about, it's a fashion about Rihanna. How you see this man being emasculated is beyond me.
well, my son will never be walking behind a woman. I don't care if it's on a cover. I
I
don't care if it's in person, and I don't care if that's his
I
wife. He's never gonna walk behind a woman, never, because that's not his place.
I tell you what, I was offended. He's
That is not
walking
my
with
son's
that
place to
little,
be behind a woman.
no, he was
Period.
walking with this little dip in his stride, like he was trying to switch like a woman. His body language was sissied all the way out. I don't care who he was, I don't know him. It was embarrassing. I read body language. And when people are in personal contact with each other, when you're talking, only 15% of what you're saying consists of the words, 35% or more is the tone, and generally 50% plus is the body language. And his body language was embarrassing. Now, daddy's hugging, I loved my father more than I did my mother. I'll be honest. I always respected him, particularly when a burglar broke into the house and he knocked him out cold until the police got there. I was impressed. He was a top sergeant in the Army, Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, was at the Ardennes, that's the bulge in World War II, combat infantry badge, bad ass. All the boys in the neighborhood looked up to him and respected him, put himself through school. He never hugged me, never kissed me. He always shook my hand and looked me in the eye and congratulated me and reminded me that it was my duty as a man to do something. His father, a bishop who took Kojic from Memphis, from Bishop Mason in 1896 to Kansas City, always looked me in the eye, shook my hand, and told me to act like a man. My grandfather, who was born in 1850, his father was a Nigerian Yoruba district sub-chieftain who was kidnapped by those bastards from Dahomey that were portrayed in that garbage movie, Woman King. He had to be set free because they brought him over here after the slave trade was officially over. My grandfather and one of my uncles murdered 2 deputy sheriffs for participating in the lynching of one of my other uncles. Well, he became a physician, and he and Alex Haley's grandfather, the one that was the physician in Roots, who tried to save his white granddaddy, but his cousin wouldn't let him because he was black. Well, those two practiced medicine together up in Jackson for 50 years. He always shook my hand, looked me in the eye, even when I was 5 years old, and said, act like a man, do what a man's supposed to be. My mother always said, boy, get up and act like a man. Men don't do that. My grandmothers, one of whom was the head librarian at Lane College, always looked me in the eye, and her status was she was a Choctaw Indian. She always said, act like a man. My other grandmother, on my father's side, always said, act like a man. Wasn't any all this hugging, I love you. It's act like you deserve love and that you love your people. That's what I got told. And I have dedicated my life to being about what is necessary for the one and the many. Not just me. But, okay, I appreciate this love thing. But that guy is simping. He looks like he has got on a dress switching down a runway. It is embarrassing. The language is horrible. And no, he didn't have to do that. I had the #1 and #2 syndicated show in America. It was me and Judy, and we were beating Oprah all the time, but they'd never let you know it because I was a straight black man who was standing up for manhood, which was not supposed to be done. But they'd ask me to do stuff, and I'd say, you lost your mind. Hell no. Well, Judge, you have to know I'm not. Well, Judge, please, forget it. I'm out of here. I'll come back, come back. No, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You can put your
I
foot
respect
down.
you, Judge. I respect you.
Now, I get hot under the collar about that. I don't mean to raise my voice, but it's time to stop being cold-blooded, laid back, and everything else. This stuff is getting to the point where people are dying, and I'm a little older than you, probably, and your husband too. We go back to that era, and it is what it is, and I understand exactly what you're talking about. I appreciate your commentary, man, very much on the nuclear family. That is so important. I'd say that's one of the most important things out there. And people who have not experienced it, which are now the majority of youth, 30, 25 and under, they are missing so much. Oh, so much. And they don't even have a clue as to what that is. Dana and I'll confess to this. We act like we've been together. I'm older than her father is, but the way we interact, we fuss and all of that, but we talk a lot off the air. But that's how men and women get along. You can fuss, but it doesn't have to be a real fight. And you still have respect. But everybody's right now trying to show that they're better than the woman they're with or they're better than the man they're with. And that's some sick stuff.
But
But
that's not what's
I
happening here,
appreciate.
Judge. Judge, that's not
I
what happened. And
understand, but
you said something very important, the ego. And so, first of all, Judge Joe Brown, I've been a fan of yours since I was a teenager because you were always dignified and you are the epitome of what a man is supposed to be for me. Okay, so I'm not gonna. I understand what you're saying. I know you were raised at a different time when men were men. That photo, what I keep trying to tell you, that is a woman's magazine. That is a fashion magazine. And
well,
ASAP
yeah,
Rocky is not a softie, Judge Joe Brown. And
I
those who
don't know
know
who
that.
Rocky is. I
Yeah, but
don't
he's
know who
not.
he
He's
is,
a fashion
but I
guy.
haven't met him.
Yeah.
But believe me, if I can think of occupations that men would get involved in for a career, it ain't fashion. I was in Hollywood for 15 years at the top of the heap. And I met those people in the fashion bit that a lot of folk took were masculine, and I wouldn't associate with them other than at a distance. You stay over there, man. You get too much of that alcohol in you. I don't want you leaning over me after pop you upside your jaw. Get back. I don't play that. So I'm not saying he is, but the body language says he is.
Right.
So I read
Just
it real well, and that's his business. But I don't think that was a very masculine image he put on. He could have straightened up. He didn't have to be leaning to the side with one knee up in front and his hips over on an angle and the other one like they practice walking down a runway. That looked so effeminate, and the way he was holding the child was not in the masculine fashion. Somebody today posted on Twitter a statue. The guy is holding, it's African, he's holding up his son, and he's got his woman by the hand behind him, and he certainly isn't simpering, and she looks feminine. She does not look like she ought to have on work boots, bib overalls, and a plaid shirt with her head shaved. So, I mean, uh,
Read,
even in men's
read.
magazines, you have, when it's a men's magazine, you have the women looking feminine, not masculine in the picture, though I don't know what they're doing
Well, I
lately,
think
but
too, yeah,
Put
everything
it
you
in
just
yeah.
context,
described, Judge.
Judge.
The problem that I have is one second, Judge Sarah. The problem that I have is because how this whole conversation, let me just put it in context, came about while I was honoring Sidney Poitier because today is his birthday, and his contributions that he's done on and off the camera for Black America specifically, and then representation matters, especially when we talk about media, Hollywood, or entertainment, because Americans of all colors and backgrounds, we are fascinated with pop culture. But when you look at the display, and the representation of Black men and Black women in pop culture today, it is very emasculating, for with the way they are portraying Black men. And I was giving an example of the Rihanna magazine and the Ebony cover with Jonathan Majors. Because you look at a Sidney Poitier, whether it was that type of men then, they would not be caught dead with their lace cross with a pink jacket on. But
And no
I don't know.
shirt.
Right. I don't know why Ebony picked that photo because it was another photo he didn't have his legs crossed, even though it was Valentine's, so I want the shirt off. Gotta have the shirt off. But he didn't have his legs
Oh,
crossed in another photo, and that looked more masculine. So why?
I just looked at that thing. Oh,
Yeah, but
really?
I sent you the one with the legs crossed.
Yeah,
He
he's sitting on a brown leather sofa with that pink feathered top on
Right, it's
and
Valentine's. It's
those
Valentine's for ladies. Yeah.
girls pants on. Oh, come
And
on now.
but he had his leg, but it was another one. His legs wasn't crossed,
He's
and
got on
it was.
some girl slacks.
I know, but he doesn't have a shirt on, so I don't know. I'm just focused on the
Yeah,
shirt, but I can't see
I
the chest
know,
with the
but
legs crossed. My point is, but my point is, so
please, that's
wait a minute. Okay, right. So
Dana, come
all right,
on.
but we like Jonathan Majors as an
And he's got
actor.
his lips stuck out. What is wrong with him?
Okay, all right. But that's
I'm
what
with
I'm
you.
saying. That's
What
what I'm
is
saying,
that?
Judge. When we're talking about
I'm with you,
Sydney, when we're
Go
Judge.
talking
to
about
the go
On
Sydney,
to
that one.
the go to the
wait a
thing
minute.
at the top of the site
I've
everybody's on
I've seen
and
it. I've
scroll through
yes.
those pictures.
I scrolled through the
That's
pictures. Yes.
Dana.
All
Dana.
right. But
Dana.
my point is this. This is my point. I'm making the point of Sidney Poitier and the men then would not be caught dead doing a lot of that black men are allowing themselves to be projected as when it comes to pop culture. And Judge Sarah, you just agreeing with the judge, but you're going to disagree with him with the Vogue cover. There's no
No, I
difference
thought it
because
was a
they're
gay
both
guy.
being
I thought Jonathan
emasculated.
Major was gay. I
But
think he
they're
was gay.
both being emasculated on a cover.
No, I don't think ASAP Rocky should be
ASAP
emasculated.
Rocky looks gay.
Not to me. Okay, so
Right.
he
All
looks
right.
sexy
So
to
you
me.
can't
To
flip
me.
flop. And this is what I'm saying.
No,
The image.
this
Black
Jonathan
men,
Major is got on a woman's coat. He got his lips
but it's not a
poked out
coat.
like he want
It's
to
just a
give head.
shawl.
Come on,
It's
sis.
not a
It's
coat.
more
It's
than
not a
that.
coat. It's not a coat.
He got on a woman's coat or whatever, a rug on his.
It's a
Look
cape.
at his lips.
It's a rose
It's like he's
cape.
trying to
It's a
give
cape
head
made
to
out of
me, and you know
roses.
about doing that.
First of all, y'all gonna stop talking about Jonathan Mate. However, listen, I didn't like the cover with the lace cross. I didn't. It's like you could have gave Valentine's sexy, but again, it could be masculine. It could be more masculine. It did look a little bit how you doing, and that's what I'm saying. Representation matters. So why are you black people allowing black men? Why are you allowing yourself to be emasculated? Why are you allowing black women yourself to be slutted out in pop culture? That's the problem. So happy birthday, Sidney Poitier. You know, that's what a black man needs to be. He was a sex symbol. And that's how you need to portray yourself. Like Sidney. Now, never mind what he was doing behind closed doors. So what? Because when he walked out in public, he was all masculine. He wasn't
Wait a minute.
walking
Look
behind a
at his
woman.
lips. Look at
Let
his
me put it
face,
this way.
girl.
Sidney
Look at his
Poitier,
face.
I met him, was a big, physically imposing man. In other words, you would think all kinds of 4 or 5 times before you get in a fist fight with him. Like I said, he must have been 6'7" and about 280 or 90 pounds. I mean, this dude looked like a pro football player, a
Right, and that's what
lineman.
I'm saying. But you're not. Would you see Sidney Poitier holding a woman's hand, walking
No,
behind her,
you
holding?
wouldn't. And
No.
you wouldn't see him with his lips puckered out, legs crossed, some women's pants on, and a pink feather shawl on with his
No,
chest
you would
bare.
not.
Look at
No
his
way in
face,
hell.
Dana. Look at his face. He giving good.
Dana.
He giving Vogue girl like voguing.
Ah!
He giving woman voguing
Oh,
lips out.
and what is ASAP Rocky giving?
He looking like he loving his baby and he hold this girl
No,
hand. He look sexy
He
to
looked
me.
girl,
like
please let
he's
me mute
so
you for a
glad
second.
to
Let me
be
mute you.
behind Rihanna. He looks like
Yeah,
he's so glad to be a house husband.
right. I wish my son would never. I will whip his ass, and he a grown ass man. He would, but he knows never.
Ask him will he be behind
He's
Rihanna
never.
like that.
And
Ask
no,
him.
he
Ask
would
your
not.
I
son.
No,
Will he
wouldn't.
go
no,
behind Rihanna like
no.
that?
I'm telling you, no, he
No.
wouldn't.
I met her.
No.
I met her. My wife was as fine as Rihanna. I don't brag about it. My ex, we're divorced now. I can't keep them long. But
You do
anyway,
brag
we
about it,
both
but go
met
ahead.
Rihanna. Yeah, well, I don't deal with ugly women for the most part. But anyway,
Here we
I
go.
met Rihanna. She was beautiful. I was sitting in the front row of a youth event in Kingston, Jamaica. Youth in the Caribbean is 18 to 35. I was sitting there, the governor general and his wife was sitting there, my wife was sitting there, the prime
Are you going to
minister and
tell us
his
this
wife
whole
was
story,
sitting
or can
there,
you just shorten it?
and
You know he is. Just let him go ahead.
Rihanna was sitting there. Rihanna is tall, beautiful, and very personable. But I wouldn't be walking behind her. No way in the
No,
devil.
but no
Not
man should be
posing like
walking
that.
behind a woman.
And he could have stood behind her while she was strolling on and in a pose of respectful contemplation, holding his child like he's a man holding his child rather than a surrogate mother standing in for Rihanna. I mean, it was just embarrassing with the body language. He's got one hip over and the knee up and the butt over this way and the hand like he's a girl being helped up on a staircase or something. I mean, it's like, dude, what's the matter with you?
Listen,
I don't know
if
who
you
he
could
is.
not, right, if you don't know how to portray a black family to where that man looking like he's the lead and the head of that family, then don't have him in that picture. And I'm pretty sure Rihanna had to give the okay. So again, when you are compliant or you're complacent with this type of representation when it comes to imagery and everything, you're part of the problem. And going back to Miss Q, you're right. You should not be idolizing celebrities. And I respect the fact that she didn't allow her kids to have celebrities on their wall. I did have Michael Jackson on my wall, but I understand for that reason. The picture she said, the only picture that could be up on her wall is her husband. She didn't even say Jesus Christ. She said her husband and Malcolm X. Representation matters. That's all I'm
Well, let
saying.
me
But
put it
anyway,
this way.
close us out, Judge.
The only person's picture that was ever in anywhere I lived, other than a painting that I have some up now that are expensive, was Frida Payne's. I had a poster of her in every room of my house, but I wound up dating her for 8 years. So, yeah,
Okay, so
that
you
was
have Frida
that. In
Payne.
other words, excuse me, for
You
my
always bragging,
generation,
Judge Brown. Why you always bragging?
I'm bragging because for my generation, Frida Payne was Beyonce, Rihanna, all rolled into one. So she's a magnificent woman, and we're still great friends, and we communicate often. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I never had anybody's picture in my room. I'd have all kinds of models, weapons on the wall, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But somebody's picture, what for?
I had
Why am I
Prince and
supposed to
Michael
be
Jackson.
idolizing? Yeah, but
You
why
have
am I
Frida Payne
supposed?
on your wall. What are you
Those are
talking
sex
about?
objects. I know. I'm saying, well, you're a woman if you like, yeah, but
So what? As a
Michael
woman, we're not supposed
Jackson
to. Yes,
and
honey,
yeah,
yes.
but I mean,
But
baby,
Miss Q, listen,
those
listen,
were
Miss
your
Q.
sexual fantasies,
But
Prince
Miss
and
Q,
Michael
yes,
Jackson.
yes, during the times, yes.
Please,
And
come
Miss,
on
but Miss
now,
Q wasn't
come
allowing
on.
none of
What
that
were
for
you,
the boys or
12
the
years
girls.
old? What
Miss
were you,
Q
12
is
years
saying
old?
something like that. But
12? Yeah,
Miss
okay, that's
Q said,
excusable.
but Miss Q said her kids, the boys and the girls, could not have nothing on their walls. Free to paint, no woman, no man, nothing on their walls except for their daddy and Malcolm X. And when you
Well, I
set
paid
that
the
type,
when I had her up there. I paid the rent. Well, I wasn't
oh,
living
you
at
was a
home with any
grown
parents.
man. We talking
I was a
about
grown
kid,
man. No, as a kid,
right? But
no. I
Miss
said the
Q,
only person's picture I ever had with her, and I wound up dating her for 8 years. So I'm just saying,
right? But
I was a
you're missing the
grown
So
point.
man
why'd you guys
paying
break
my
up?
rent.
Why'd you break up? Why'd you break up?
We didn't exactly break up. We
Then what
just
happened?
kind of drifted apart.
Why are you
I
asking
mean, we,
him that personal
I
question?
mean,
Cause he
This is
always
we,
telling
personal.
his business. What he
the
always
last,
telling his business. We
excuse
want to
me,
know.
the last time I saw, the third to the last time I was in LA, we were at, what was the name of the place? Catalina Club out in Hollywood. We were sitting at the same table with her sister, uh, who was one of the Supremes, and another lady whose name was Siri, of all things, was sitting at the table. So I paid for their dinner. That was Sherry Payne, who was with the
I'm sorry. Where's this
Supremes.
story going? Because I really don't care. I want to
So
wrap it up.
I'm saying, in other words, if we happen to be in the same city, well, we usually hook up.
Please don't entertain Judge Sarah personal questions like how you didn't fall out. You know what I'm saying? Y'all
Girl,
was
you know I won't
friends.
mess with the judge. You know I won't mess with the judge. He be here telling us
I
all
know, but
his
he's
business.
actually going to try and answer the question. It's like, no, don't nobody want to hear why y'all stop. Y'all still friends. I don't want to hear that. Wait, real quick. Miss Q had her hand up. Real quick, Miss Q, because I want to wrap it up. And then, if listen, let me do this. Y'all have if anybody want to request to come up to comment or anything, do so now. If not, that's it. Miss Q, on mute. Miss Q, you had your hand up on mute. Press the mute button, honey. Tell your son to press the mic button for you.
Then you're gonna have to ask your husband, your son, when he walked behind Rihanna. Okay, you got to come back and let us know the answer.
No, I'll call him now and ask him will he ever walk behind a woman. He ain't gonna walk behind no goddamn woman.
I said Rihanna. I ain't say a woman.
It don't what because she Rihanna. So what? She ain't the finest. First of all, she ain't the finest. I don't care how fine or how much money a woman have. Why are you walking behind her? That makes it worse. So that means that you got you. It's a price that you could be emasculated for a price.
Dana, read the cover. What it's about Rihanna. It's not about ASAP Rocky. Read the cover. Read what it says. It's
Miss
about her
Q,
growing.
Miss Q, unmute. Miss Q, unmute. You gotta unmute Miss
Okay,
Q.
I'm
Hey,
on. I'm back on here. I'm sorry. I lost the screen. Had lost the screen for a minute. But I'm gonna tell you, if they really wanted to show a picture of Rihanna and show how very beautiful she is, and the man who's supporting her, they might have did something similar. See, they do different things. You got to understand these people and what's really on their mind. You got to pick it apart. Years ago, there was a picture of Kim Kardashian on the back of Reggie Bush, and I got mad when I first saw it years ago. But it shows him as his strength lifting her up. I would have preferred to see a picture. I don't care if he stood up there with his muscles and with Rihanna in a beautiful Vogue outfit, lifting her up as a black man would lift his baby up in Africa, and show his strength and her beauty. See,
right,
but the way that they depicted, he was, well, you can interpret it either way, and so we have to be careful, very careful about these subliminal messages they send, because see, they do it a little soft when it's not quite what America might accept, and then they increase it little by little to see how far they can really go, and they're gonna push it
exactly.
to the limit. They're gonna push it to the limit. They need to be held back now because that's the same thing they did. As they erode the morals and values of society in general and the black family in particular. Because when in my day, Beaver Cleaver, that was one of the good movies, so called, but you never saw Mr. Cleaver in the bed with Mrs. Cleaver. When they went to bed, she went in on her bed and he went on his bed. And now they got everything except for the man's penis going in the woman's mouth. You see her, easing on down and easing on down. It's disgusting. And see, they've been inching, and they're inching now. So don't get it twisted. They're inching toward a less moral society, and their best weapon is to keep us disorganized. So we're sitting up really not understanding who they are and what they're doing. So I'll be quiet right now. And Judge Brown, um, I still don't know whether to vote, don't vote, or who to vote for. Now, I'd like your advice on that.
So answer Miss Q's question, Judge, and then you
I
could
can I
close
can
us out.
answer that. I can answer that. If you don't like anybody in particular,
Don't say it.
vote one to heighten the contradictions. In other words, vote for the candidate that's likely to make it hit the fan. Don't vote for the lesser of two evils. Vote with the consideration after that of punishing a party. In other words, if they presume that they're going to get your vote no matter what, show them they're wrong. Vote for strategic purposes. Play chess with it and don't think in the immediate election think 4 or 5 elections later on. Think about stuff like that. You don't have to like somebody. You can think they're a horrible person, but if they get the job done, hey, that's what they're in office for, not for you to like them. Be objective when you're about it. Don't vote for a matinee star. They don't have to look good. They don't have to sound good. How effective are they? Vote for somebody that you wouldn't mind drinking a beer or a glass of wine with. Such things should consider. But most of all, right now, at this day, at this time in the world's history, it's time to use your vote to punish. Some people are taking you for granted. Punish them for doing so. That's my
What else?
suggestion.
That's your
That's
suggestion,
it.
and I would like for you to close us out. I just want to say this first. Let me just say this. Thank you, everybody that came into this Twitter space, good, productive Twitter space. Thank you to everybody that came up on the panel and spoke. I really appreciate your input. Please go to jjb2023.com and support Judge Joe Brown. Donate. Sign up to the mailing list. You could donate to Judge Joe Brown's Cash App at $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. So support, support, support. And if you would like to volunteer for his campaign, go to the website, jjb2023.com, and sign up and just send an email saying you would like to volunteer. And you could live in Memphis or not. There's something for all of us to do. But most importantly, we need funding. So please support financially as well. And Judge, close us out. Judge?
I'm having to unmute. All right. Be strong. Keep working at it. Life is over when you have no more adversity. So deal with adversity. It's part of being alive. Don't get discouraged. Just try harder. And if your hard efforts don't appear to be getting results, sit down, take a thought moment, and see what you may be doing wrong, and then figure something else out. Or go read and see if you can glean a solution to your current problems. But keep trying. And I'll pass the mic on that one. Thank you, everybody, for being here. jjb2023.com.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you next week, Monday, probably earlier, back at lunchtime. I don't know. But we'll see you next week, Monday. But go to The Real Dane on YouTube, and you can see the judge live on Thursdays. And, of course, he's always active on Twitter. All right. Bye. Good night. Have a great week, everyone.
Don't judge him, Joe Brown.